Let's see if this works. It does. Okay. I feel like I'm in a room and I'm supposed to immediately say, you don't have to sit in the back seats, you know. The ones up here in the front are good. But I guess you won't move. Most people won't in these circumstances. Anyway, the introduction film is a really inspiring summary of what we've learned. But I'd like to start off by basically talking about my personal experience as an elected official and recognize that our purpose tonight is to take these ideas and move them into actual plans of action. Because the reality is that economic development really happens when someone has an idea. We have in Beaver County an absolutely marvelous example on the corporate side of exactly that. The Shell cracker plant. It just didn't happen. It's the result of a very smart, strategic plan, going through the planning process and implementing it. Shell planned and executed superbly. They planned to win, and they have. What I'd like to do tonight is to take that lesson and put it in the reality of the way most of the other things that happen in life. Because my personal experience is that most economic development is individual entrepreneurship. We heard that word used in the video we just watched. It's entrepreneurs who are farmers, small businesses, restaurants, bars, car repairs. There was a couple of guys who built a computer in their garage that started a business, Hewlett-Packard. People who have used the internet to set up social systems so that one person can meet another person and end up getting married. The list is endless. The important thing is that it started with an idea. We've been working for the past 2 sessions on the idea side, visioning, coming up with ideas. Tonight I'd like to talk about the kind of economic development that happens when people like you and me are unhappy with the economic development that other people are doing. I think Shell falls into the other people category. So I'd like to see if you're unhappy with the economic development and you have ideas, what can we do to make our ideas happen? So I'd like to go back to my Shell example and see how they did it, but then put ourselves in the place of Shell and see what we can do, because it all starts with ideas. That vision has to be developed. It has to be researched, it has to be roughed out, and it has to result in something which is called a business plan. You may have seen some business plans or you may not, but basically it's a document that proves that your plan can work, and you express it in the language of the accountants and the lawyers and the other professions who are going to get involved in evaluating what we want to do so that they can understand what we want to do. The business plan is a really important component of this, because the business plan is going to be used to sell your vision to those who must approve it, to those who must provide funding, to those who are going to object, and most importantly, to those who will be your customers and are going to benefit from your idea and the plan. From experience, I can tell you, you need to be prepared for blood. But you must never lose sight of the axiom, where there is a way, where there is a will, there is a way. My sense is that many of the visions we've seen in the prior sessions are going to take some government action, in part to make them happen. My experience is serving as a locally elected official, school director and township commissioner in Upper St. Clair, and as a board member of the local government academy, which provides training for locally elected officials and government staff. So that's the viewpoint I'm bringing to this. The people who are elected to local governments are typically, and I include myself in this category, well-intentioned people. Pat DeMarco I include in this because she's a locally elected official too. We're typically well-intentioned people, and we want to be seen as working for the benefits of our community. But frankly, until you serve in local government, you don't have a clue as to how complex and how varied running a government really is. There are decisions you will have to make and pressures to do things coming from all over the place. You quickly learn, and this is where I'm going with this, you quickly learn that your job is more one of approving other people's ideas than generating your own. Now just think for a moment that many of us who've tried to lobby for a given position have gone to a public meeting and basically asked our local elected officials, why don't you do something about this? And you've probably been unhappy with the result. What we have to do is recognize that our local elected officials are really only able to take action based on recommendations. They're not there to dictate and come up with their own plans. So suddenly you find yourself having to react and vote on matters that you may not even understand. You find yourself looking for guidance from others, so-called experts, but basically you start looking for anyone that can cover up and prove that the decision you voted on is the right one, because you want to protect yourself as an elected official from criticism. And here is where you come in as citizens. Positive change almost always comes from the citizens. First, and we've seen it in this room, first one person with a vision finds another person who shares that vision, and pretty soon you have a group, and that group is formed. The reason we're here tonight is because a couple of people had a vision of having these planning sessions. A citizen group can make change happen. But that citizens group has to be every bit as shrewd as Royal Dutch Shell was in planning its facility here. It begins where we are tonight, with an idea and a vision. The group has to develop the plan and engage other citizens to contribute to it and support it. The plan has to be thoroughly scoped out and every element challenged by what you see as the objections and the obstacles. That's why we're ending up tonight with a SWOT session. You have to be ahead of the curve every inch of the way so that when somebody objects, you're prepared. You've thought through what to do with the objection, and you have a solution or a workaround for the plan. You'll have to deal with the costs. What are the income potentials? And where's the funding coming from? Government is likely to be involved either because of zoning, building codes, permitting, and all that stuff, and you may even need to have government funding. Many people and most elected officials actually do not want to be the first in any endeavor. Think about that. No one wants to do it first. That's too risky. That takes a lot of courage. But it's up to us because we have this idea. Part of our research is going to have to be to find examples somewhere where it has worked already, because we're now providing some more cover for the person who's going to say yes. Oh yes, I approved it because it worked over there. So we need to find lots of examples of where it has worked and where the benefits we're claiming that are going to work here have worked there. Get expert witnesses from people who have been successful to testify about your project. Developing your complete plan will result in a strong business case. With your completed plan, you can now prepare to go public. You've been working up to this point privately, if you will, as part of your group effort. But going public is the next step. So it's at this point when you're going to develop the groundswell of support that will be needed when you finally approach local government to gain approvals if they're necessary. By now, you must know what approvals are required because of your business plan process. You know who has to be, who it is that's going to have to be contacted, what the approvals you're going to need are, and so forth, and who's going to have to approve them. So then you got to go through this process with local government to figure out, how do I get on the agenda? But when you're scheduled to appear, show up with a short, and I call it killer presentation of what you want to do. Present the benefits in the best light you can, but give fair attention to the obstacles and the way your plan provides for overcoming those obstacles. Show how your plan will achieve economic benefits greater than the costs. Wind up with testimonials and experts who have had success elsewhere or who can predict the success of your proposal. Finally, tell the approval authority that you're ready to move forward. You've got your plans in hand and you want a prompt decision. And I should have pointed out that you have filled the room where you're meeting with all your supporters. So here you are, elected official, looking out on a room like this, and all you see is anxious, nodding heads saying to me as the elected official, you better say yes. Because that's what you want. You want to remind that elected official that the citizens voted for this elected official here are also telling me, I want this. Whenever a group of citizens comes forward at a public meeting and presents a plan with a packed house of supporters, it's highly likely that the local elected officials will get on board. Why? Because you've already checked out all the objections. You've already created a situation that looks like a winner. The elected official is likely to think to themselves, what's not to like? I want to put my name on this project too and have all these people think I'm part of it and I'm a good guy. So that's my suggestion to all of us as we think through this visioning process, because the goal at the end is some elected official saying, I'm with you, it's a great plan, let's do it. Thanks very much. I guess we'll have a panel a little bit later with some questions. Okay.